Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to this session here at Pikeville High School. We have two students here that selected for the publishing program and the entrepreneurial portion of the publishing program. Would you care to introduce yourselves to the audience?
I'm Cameron Lane.
Gabriel Reed.
Okay, and their books are actually the largest per page count of the books that we have selected for this year, and that's because their stories are amazing. They took time to craft their plot, and all the elements of writing are in their stories, and it's just an amazing showcase of what young students can do, I think, especially from our region. And it's up to par, I think, personally, with anything across the whole country, but then I'm biased a little bit too, but I'm sure it would stand there. So congratulations to both of you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I want to start off today by talking a little bit about a couple questions that has come in into the question bank, as of now starting to call it. One of the questions is concerning, again, hardbound versus softbound. Softbound being the polite way to say paperback. In the industry, I don't think they really call paperback trade it's paperback anymore. It sort of identifies a lesser quality paperback. So they're urging everyone to call or to refer to paperback trade as softbound. So you have hardbound and softbound. That kind of makes sense. Softbound and hardbound. So your first books will be softbound because and due to the cost associated to produce the books. If we were to supply each student with copies, especially at this low amount that you are receiving for the first signing, the price for that would be outrageous. So we're not able to do that. Right now, it's between $5,000 and $6,000 for the 22 students to have books at this first signing. Now, when you sell these books and you go on then to purchase more and then sell those, hopefully, and you continue that process, eventually you will have enough to upgrade to hardbound. And of course, your cost for your book will have to then be adjusted as well. So that's something to keep in mind. And then we talked about short-term and long-term goals in one of the videos. So maybe one of your long-term goals can be, eventually I'd like to upgrade to hardbound copies of the books. We had another question to come in about the specifics of when and where and what time and everything. So that's been put out in a couple of areas, but I probably should attach this to everything we've done because that'll make it easier, because this is really important. So no one misses this. This is April 12th, okay? So this is next week, April 12th. And if I'm not mistaken, it's a Wednesday, I think. Wednesday, April 12th, starting at 9 a.m. You're expected to be at your table and everything set up, and you're there ready to meet the audience and to meet the people there at the Expo Center. Okay, so please arrive at least by 8:30 to set up. Your tables will be located. If you know anything about the Pikeville Expo Center, okay, let's pretend this is the arena here. Okay, this is the floor of the arena, right? Then around the arena you have, of course, the seats, which go down to the floor. Okay, so there's tons of little seats here. Up towards the middle tier of the arena, you have these doors that lead out into the concession stand area. You will be on the first floor of the concession stand. What's the second floor of the total Expo Center? But down along the main hall where everyone comes in and out to participate in all the various different lectures and functions and presenters that's going on. See, the Expo Center is a huge place. It's not just the floor. So there's rooms all around the third level where each one of those offers space for presenters, and people come in and sit down and listen. So the people come in and out of this area here where you're going to be sitting. Okay, it's also located. If you want to, when you arrive there, the entrance on Main Street. Okay, that's the entrance that you want to go into. That's the entrance where they have the Pikeville Bears with the Hatfield McCoy themed bears right there by US Bank on Main Street. So come in that entrance of the Expo Center, and you'll be right inside. You'll be, great location there for us, and that's where you need to be, okay? All right. This will last until about 3 o'clock, 2 or 3, okay? If it breaks up a little bit earlier, then if you need to leave, that's okay too, okay? But that's the idea. Now, another question is that some students are assuming that you're going to sell all your books, and if you do, that's great, and that's our goal, right? To sell all your copies. Does that mean that's going to happen? No, okay? Because you have to think about this, and this gets back into the last video where we talked about the terms in business, your competitors, right? Your competitors in business, and marketing. There's 22 students there, each representing a book. There's more than that actually, because some books have the author and the illustrator. But anyway, there's 22 books there, I should say. 22 books, okay? Each one of these authors and illustrators are wanting to sell their books, so you have competition. Your competitors are wanting to sell their books. So if you think about it, there's a lot of books to be sold, and there's enough people to buy every copy, but that doesn't mean everybody will, okay? So your table presentation means a lot to catch people's eyes. Another thing that's going to mean a lot, and we're going to talk about this today, and this is sometimes, listen, I can relate to this more than you know, okay? If I spell it right. While I'm talking and writing, sometimes it doesn't work so well. Okay, communication, right? Listen, most artists, most writers, if you truly are a writer by heart, and you consider yourself an artist by heart, we're inverted, right? We just are. I mean, I'm 39 years old, and it's taken me those many years, believe it or not, and trust me on this when I say so, to even have any type of social skills at all, right? And that's just the truth. It is a challenge sometimes to present yourself to the public, and especially when you've never done anything like this before, right? This isn't like standing up in class or in front of an audience somewhere and maybe giving a speech or there's nothing like this, because you're there at a table and your work's there. So when people come up, they're looking through your work, so automatically you feel like you're being critiqued in a way or judged in a way, because they're flipping through your book. Oh yeah, this is great, yeah. And you're thinking, what are they really thinking? What are they telling? It's a crazy experience. So those of you who are, let's say, more on the inverted side, and I can relate to that wholeheartedly, this is going to be a great experiment, because you're going to have to face the public. And sometimes what determines who sells a book and who doesn't sell a book is how you relate to the person. They will ask you this question. This question will be asked so many times. And you're going to have to be prepared mentally to answer this so many times. So what is your book about? Now, for you two, your books are larger, right? Your book is definitely large, Cameron. Summing up what your book's about in a sentence is kind of hard, right? But think about this though. J.R.R. Tolkien, his work can be summed up in a couple sentences. Maybe one book can, maybe not the entire trilogy, or even the earlier accompanying, what do they call it? A computation? I don't know, but you know what I'm talking about. I mean, come on, it's hard. He's got a lot of work out there, right? So larger books, it's more difficult, but you have to have this in mind. Start preparing. Have this roll off your tongue as if it's just, what grade are you in? Right? Have it just be ready there in what we call your wheelhouse, which is things that you go to very quickly and you can pull from. Having it be in your wheelhouse, your summary of your book, okay? So everyone should be doing that right now. I really enjoyed the name of your company, Cameron. So it's Still Quill, right? And those of you who, we have elementary students who participate, middle schoolers, quill, so the quill is a writing instrument, correct? It's what was dipped. Sometimes it was a turkey feather early on. Do you want to describe maybe better than what's a quill? I use quill tip pens though to draw, but you could probably describe it better.
It's like a feather that they would like dip in like an inkwell, and like the ink would be like on the tip of it, and they would just write with the ink.
Absolutely.
That way.
How does this relate to your work overall? Well, how does this translate?
It's like the quill is just like this, like a symbol of like the writers like early on, and like I feel like that's just like what I want to be. Like I know I wouldn't say I've always loved writing. There were many like early on I was like writing, but then when I started actually like writing like fiction work, I realized that I really like to do it. So I'm like I kind of like to embrace like the writer living like style.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And there's I think also the Writers Guild. I think the quill is used. The quill is connected to writing, absolutely, and so that's a great company name. And I could think of about 1 million really cool logos for that too. So have you thought of a company name yet?
Not yet. It's something I'm still working.
Still working on it? Okay, you've got time. It's okay. So those of you out there, Cameron's example is a great example on what you should be doing and what you can do to prepare for this. So business name, business logo, we have to have those ready, okay? So let's talk a little bit now. Let's bring us up to par with where we are today. If you haven't watched the videos yet, they run between 25 and about 40 minutes long, and they're on the holler, okay? The links are. Go to the resource there on the holler and watch those videos. Everybody do that. If this is the first video you watched, then you may be saying, well, why isn't he talking about this? Why isn't he talking about that? There's a good chance I have, so you have to go watch the videos, okay? And there's a good chance I haven't too, so hopefully we'll cover the things that I haven't today. That's the goal. All right, so first I want to talk about this person. I hope I spell this correctly. I copied and pasted, so I don't see why I shouldn't. But I was too worried about messing this up. Lily Secor, I think is how you pronounce her name. Lily Secor, she started off creating small pieces of jewelry and placing that on Etsy, okay? This grew into a business where she was able to pay her cost in tuition for college, okay? Averages about $40,000 a year with her sales online, okay, as a senior in high school. So that's what she averages. She went on to college. This is proof that no matter what your age is, if you're business minded and you're able to think about this from a marketing standpoint. I know we have elementary students, middle school students who are just like, what? But I really need to stress this to you is that the students that are ready to take that next step towards a small business, okay? And a lot of our elementary and middle school students have great supporters, their parents or their teachers too, just as you all have. You have here with Ms. King. Those supporters are going to help them do this. But marketing is an absolute essential aspect to business, okay? Because you can have, like we said, boxes of inventory that you have ready to be sold, but if no one knows about your book, no one can buy your book, right? So how do you make the public aware that you're here and you have things to sell and you're wanting to sell? So some of those ways we talked about early on is that every single event that you go to, you have to, or need to, I should say, create a press release. Okay? The press release is what you send to the media, nothing fancy, who, what, when, where, why. So this first event coming up on April 12th, let's say I'm going to use you two as an example. Is that okay? All right? So each of you should prepare a press release and send that to your local newspaper. Okay? Now you may say, well, who do I send it to at the newspaper? Well, these things in each county of all the folks who are participating in this is going to be different. Of course, it's the same editor for Jeff Vanderbeck, who's the editor-in-chief here at the Appalachian News Express, is not going to be the same editor as the Johnson County Times. I hope that's the name of the paper, but I'm guessing. So you do have to do a little bit of research, right? So you have to find out who is the editor's name, and then you send them your press release. Let them be aware, or make them aware of what's coming up, okay? Following up even with that, take pictures at this event of you at your table. Ask someone to take a picture of you sitting at your table with your books and your table display. Send that to the newspaper saying, look who sold some books at the Expo Center, right? All of this is about marketing. Those of you who are able to create a website, I don't think that, I don't think you should hesitate in that. Free website platforms include webstarts.com, GoDaddy. Create a website. You could have it the name of your publishing company. If that's not available, your name.com. Create a website. I created my own website, and I know nothing about coding. I know nothing about HTML-based coding or C++ or anything like that. I could send images in an email. That was my skill level, and that's all I needed. That's all I needed, and I could create a website. It's not the prettiest website in the world, but it's a website. Having a website connected to your press release really helps, because someone may read about your experience at the Expo Center and see a picture of you in there and be like, man, kudos, that's great. But if you do not have listed anywhere in the article or the small picture with the caption where the person reading the paper after the fact can purchase your books, it does no good, right? Because the only thing that can come out of it is they may say, I wish I'd have made it to that. Or, maybe they'll have another book signing one day, So try to think about creating your own website. All right. So these are all things we've covered, though, before in depth in previous videos, but we had questions to come in. And I thought using this one student's example was pretty important, just to show you that this is something that could grow, and I hope it does for you. Okay, for today I want to talk about communication, as we promised. And there's a couple of things that you really need to practice on. We went over portions of running a small business, the business elements. If you haven't watched the videos, please go back and do that, okay? It's really important you do. We talked about our what are the parts of the business, from your distribution, to your marketing, to your promotion, to your competitors, to your profit, to your loss, to your inventory. All this is covered in past videos. Today, though, we're getting closer to this signing. Communication is a big part of this. This is what may stand out with you compared to your competitor in making a sale, right? So a firm handshake, right? Okay, so practice making a firm handshake. When someone comes up, they may want to shake your hand. If you're a germaphobe and you don't want to touch people's hands, you're going to have a nightmare at this thing, okay? Because people are just going to come up and be like, hey, hi, how are you? And you're going to be like, oh, ready then, and shake their hand. Listen, it happens. Some people just don't like shaking hands. I understand that. I don't really know what you're going to do to get out of that. I'm going to leave that up to you. But let's say my best, if I was a germaphobe and I was conducting a book signing, the sale is the most important thing. You want to make a sale. I would keep some alcohol, like the hand sanitizer, under your table, right? That's an idea. Wouldn't hurt anything. But a good handshake's important, okay? Second, and you all can write these down there at home, and this is things that's so important in sales, okay? Look a person in the eyes when you speak to them. Someone comes up to your table and they're looking at your book and they say, what's your book about? And they look at you and you're sort of avoiding eye contact at all costs. So you're like, well, it's a book about, there's a couple characters in there, and just make eye contact. Firm handshake. There's no germs associated with eye contact either, so that's wonderful. You look a person in the eye all day long, you probably won't catch anything, okay? So, third thing, smile. Oh, I know this has got a lot of baggage with it. Telling people to smile sometimes, like, what's that all about? But I guess, be pleasant. And this goes for everybody. This isn't just about singly got any group. Just be pleasant. If someone goes up to your table, they're your customer. Well, at that point, they're a consumer. They become your customer after they purchase, right? We went over this. But at this point, you have to make your handshake, look them in the eyes, and be pleasant. There's been times when I've conducted book signings where I felt miserable. I wanted to go home. I didn't want to be there, but I had to smile and I had to be pleasant. You are a business person. Think about it if you were to go into a furniture store and you're looking for a couch, and you went up to the salesman and you said, "Hello, I'm looking for a couch." You're like, "Oh, okay, well, we got some. You want to go buy some? We got some." I mean, how you approach people with your outward persona is very important. Okay, so a business face, as we call it, right? All right, so let's keep going. What's the other one? Practice these things. Yes, that's important. You want to do that. Practice even at home. And listen, I know this could be a little embarrassing if you were to tell someone you're doing this, but you could practice at home by setting at a table and having maybe your family members come up to your table and ask them maybe to ask you certain questions as if they're coming up to your table and they're looking at your books. And because you're going to get asked a lot of different things. You know, the easy ones are who you are, right? Where you're from, what school do you go to, how old are you? Those are easy things. What gets a little more tricky is when someone who's really interested in your book reads maybe your summary that you have on your table, and then they start asking you questions about your book. What was your motivation for writing this? Tell me about this character. What is this character? What role do they play in your story? Okay, now this sounds easy because you wrote your stories, right? But if you haven't reread your story, and I know it's going to be a little difficult for you, Cameron, but if you haven't reread your story, though, prior to this, you may be in a little trouble. I suggest everyone read their story. Read your own story again, so you are able to answer these things. Now, this is a big one for me, okay? And I want I should probably space that out so you can really see what this is. What we call filler terms when you're talking to someone, such as like, these are filler words, right? So in between a thought, well, my book's like about try to avoid those things, okay? A lot of us don't catch sometimes how often we do it. But try your best to avoid those filler words. Proper communication and good communication in sales is everything. I have to practice. I continue to practice with it. I'm not a good salesman. But you have to look at it as how would you like to be treated? If you were going to look for a book or you're walking up to an author's table, how would you like that author or illustrator to treat you if you're on the opposite side of the table? Okay, that's how you should approach this. Now, before we close up, there is an important portion of the finance part of small business, which we went over already in a previous video, that I think is important for us to consider, and I don't think some are, so this is why I'm doing this today. Your first book signing, okay, your first book signing, you have a lot of things that is already being taken care of, right? So April 12th is your first book signing. Let's pretend, and we went over this in another video too, so how do you create more events after this event? So how are you going to create more opportunities to sign books somewhere after this event? We went over this in a video talking about queries at stores, local bookstores. Your local library will absolutely have you, but you have to reach out to them. They're not going to call you, okay? But if you were preparing, let's say you yourself contacted the Expo Center and you said, I would like to have a book signing at your Expo Center. And they said, okay, great, it's awesome, when? And you told them April 12th, 9:00 a.m. starting, ending at 3. They'd be like, okay, great. Here's some of the expenses you would be out. So your books, of course, would cost money, okay? You'd have to purchase books. Your travel, right? To and from, okay, that would cost some money. Your gas, your food, even. Print material for promotion. Each school has $150 that you can use to create stands. I'll just put promo. You could create bookmarks, you create business cards, you can create whatever it is you need. Folks in near around Pike County are lucky in terms of there's a Staples nearby, but you could do this at Walmart too, I think. Any print supply store, there's locally owned print stores too. Minuteman Press in London, Kentucky is an example. But you have this for print promotion, so things that go on your table, right? You'll be out money for that. Here's a big one, right? Your books, I'll put 2. Renting the expo center. That would cost a lot of money, okay? Upwards in the thousands of dollars to rent the expo center for a book signing. And then also, the promotion, right? That KVEC is doing for you already through their website, through their social media links, all these things. All of this combined, okay, there is no way you could make up your cost, all right, for this first signing with 25 books. If you sold each book for $5,000, you may be able to. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But no, you'd have to sell your books for a lot of money, okay? So all of these things combined, not just your books. When we talked about your cost to run a business, we didn't talk about these other factors. Travel, print, renting up space if you need to, promotion. All of these things go into your total cost to run your business, okay? So here's how you add up all of this to find your profit, right? So, and this is pretty basic stuff here, okay? So down the road, you're going to take your total income. That's how much you made at a signing, okay? Total income received minus, okay, minus total expenses. That would be all those things we looked at a second ago, equals your total profit, right? It's basic, it's common sense. But when you do this, you get an idea where you stand. For the future, you take the total profit, reinvest that into your company, and then you keep the ball going, okay? But like I said though, you wear many hats. You don't have employees, that's a good thing, but you're your own distributor, marketer, you're your own promoter, you're your own worker. You create your content, right? You create your books. You're the writer, you're the illustrator, you're your own manager or president of your company, right? So all of these things, your company will either thrive or it will just fade out based on what you put into it, okay? All right. So before we close today, though, I want to, and I'm glad actually that there was a glitch in the camera because I forgot about this earlier. You'll want to contact Minuteman Press, and I'm going to put the phone number at the bottom of the screen so you know where to call. But so it's Minuteman Press. This is where you will reorder books, okay? So later on, be sure and write this down when you're watching the video. Minuteman Press, your contact there, his name is Gary Conley. Gary Conley, Minuteman Press at the phone number at the bottom of the screen. They are located in London, England. No, I'm joking. Kentucky. Okay? If it was in London, England, it'd be terrible, really bad shipping costs for your books. But this is who you contact. Minuteman Press, Gary Conley in London, Kentucky. The number at the bottom of the screen. When you call, let's say you call and you say, this is the title of my book, okay? This is my name, and I need to order so many more copies, right? If you need a quote sent to you, you can. The more copies you order, the less it costs per copy, right? So let's say you say, I'd like a quote for between 25 and 50 copies, 50 and a 75, 75 and 100. And they will send you a quote so you can determine how many books you'd like to order with your profit from this signing, okay? All right, thanks everybody. Thank you, Pikeville High School. You want to say bye?
Bye again.
Yeah, we did this already, but we really appreciate everybody tuning in, and we look forward to the 12th. And until next time, we'll see you then. Bye.